I'm here with Chantel Elba. She's the producer and main actress from Sixth Friend. Congratulations and welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hi, lovely to meet you. So if we could start, if you could just tell me, or give us a brief synopsis about the film, what it's about, and perhaps we can just go from there.
Yeah, well, it's actually about women empowerment. We are a female-driven horror film. It's female-directed, female-produced, and female-written. And it actually starts off with an acid trip. So we've got some cool visuals going on in the beginning, nice VFX and everything. It's 6 girls. It's the night of their college graduation, and they've decided to trip on LSD for the first time. And the man that
sounds
brings,
great.
Yeah, what we all want after college. And the man that brings the LSD over actually does an attempted rape and murder on one of the girls, but we get to him before he commits the act, and we're able to kill him before he kills us. And so then we rekindle 5 years later, and he comes back to haunt us. So.
Brilliant. No, thank
and you have to figure out who the killer is in the end. So
before,
there's a twist.
No, thank you. And so before we get into the film, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, about what you've done previously. As you know, I've looked at your profile, so I've got a pretty good idea. But just for the benefit of the viewers,
right?
Give us an idea of how you started in the industry, some flavour of what you've done, and where you've got to now.
Yeah. Well, I actually I started off in theater. And so I did theater all throughout when I was a kid and in high school, and then I went to college and I got my BFA in acting, theater acting, and then I moved to Los Angeles, and I started making films. So, yeah, I kind of had a theater background, and then I came to LA, started making independent films. I was in Reawakened, that's one that we've done a couple years ago, and I actually shot that after we did The Sixth Friend.
Because you just completed The Desert, I think, is your latest film.
The Desert is the last one that I created, that we completed, and I'm really excited for that one. It's going to be really cool. It's really stylized, but there is another film that Jamie, the other lead actress, she wrote it and produced it with me. Or she wrote it, she and the director wrote it, and then me and her produced it and acted in it. We actually met on another film set called Axeman, and we were off hiking in the mountains.
You know I'm going to watch this, don't you?
We were off hiking in the mountains on our day off, and we got together. She told me she had a script, and I was like, well, maybe we could get some funding together, and we got the funding together.
Is that for the Sixth Friend? Sorry, is that for Sixth Friend we're talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So she had the script in development.
Right.
When we were making this other movie, on our hike, and we started talking and decided to make it together. So. Because
that's quite a leap, and obviously people won't realise that we were chatting the other night. But what was always intriguing is. When you're not just an actress, that sounds really patronising, I don't mean it in that way, but what I'm trying to say is where you transition, where you're doing multitasking, I guess, or you've got several hats on. So what in particular drew you to be acting and producing? Because let's be honest, producing also means your own investment, frankly.
Yeah.
So it's a much bigger risk.
And you're wearing lots of hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started off as just acting, and I remember when I first moved to LA, everyone said if you really want to work, you should produce your own stuff. And I thought, oh my God, I could never produce, you know. But once you get a partner together and you get a crew together, we hired our director, Alicia Clouston. And she was someone that Jamie had worked with previously, and she brought on her DP, and her husband is also a filmmaker, and so now all of a sudden it's like we've got a group of 5 people rather than just 2 actors, and so you sort of create this group of people that you can create with, I guess. So Jamie had the script, I found the money, and then we hired on our crew, and it kind of went on from there. But it is really stressful being able to act and produce.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you're wearing lots of hats. You're not able to just focus just on acting. You've got to be focusing on the production as a whole, and making your days, getting all the shots in, and making sure that the budget is spent correctly. So. And
was it
it's definitely a learning experience.
I think you had a line producer for this as well.
We had a line producer as well. Yeah.
So, at what point did you ever? You've signed on the dotted line, and then is there suddenly a point where you go, shit, this is real now? not necessarily from the acting, because I'm sure you could do that at the drop of a hat, but suddenly, because I'm assuming this might be your first film producing. I don't know, perhaps it isn't the first
film. It's my first film producing, yeah.
So, did you wake up one day and go, oh God, this is really it now? I mean, did the trepidation moment, I guess?
I don't know that I ever really woke up and thought that, I guess. I don't know. We just sort of got together and started making it happen, and it did seem surreal at first, I guess, but once they call action and the reality kicks in, you're like, okay, let's go. We're making this. Get it done. So.
But it must be lovely I suppose the flip side is, again, we discussed, where you're acting and don't really necessarily have any say because you're brought into hire as a gun for hire.
That's what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you get to come in for acting, when you're acting for hire, when you're in theater, like I was saying the other night, it's really nice because coming from a theater background, you have control over your performance. If you give a great performance, everyone sees it, and you can kind of take responsibility for your own performance. But then in film, it is a little different because you kind of lose that sense of control over your performance depending on the edit or the angle or how they shoot it or what they decide to use, what takes they decide to use.
But how refreshing is it when you would say, for instance, you've done a shot, and then you're in post, you're sitting there in post, and rather than someone not listening to your point of view, because as far as they're concerned, it's nothing to do with you can actually say, well, actually, I want that shot because because of course what you've done is it's your money, you've made the investment so effectively that gives you carte blanche to say, well, no, we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm trying to understand how, not necessarily empowering that is, but how much of a breath of fresh air that was, and were you expecting that when you were, putting all this all together?
That is kind of the thing that is refreshing. It's nice having a creative say, because yes, as an actor, a lot of times you just get a say over your performance or that moment, but then, like I said, in the edit, your performance can change, and so it's nice being a full-on filmmaker and being able to understand cameras and lenses and angles and budgets and putting it all together, and then in the end having a say of what the final product looks like. It is really refreshing, and it's really nice having that as as an actor, being able to dip into that, because I didn't go to film school. I went to theater school, but after producing a movie, I feel like I went to film school.
And what about I know you said about this is a female-driven production.
Yeah.
Was that deliberate, or did that just happen along the way? Or did you go, you know what, why don't we do this?
You know what, it's really funny. We did not go for the female-driven. Like, me and Jamie met, and the script called for 6 girls, and she hired on Leisha, who happened to be a female, and then she started, Jamie and Leisha bounced the script back and forth, and so that's how it's female written. And we had some articles come out, and it was actually the articles that were like, oh, female driven, female directed, female written, and we're like, oh yeah, I guess it is female driven, and so that's how it kind of picked up. We didn't do it intentionally.
But that must have been a really nice twist. Like, it was an accidental, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
But now you've done that, is that something that's made you think, well, actually?
Absolutely, because there aren't as many female filmmakers out there. I mean, at least in Los Angeles, it's still a male-driven city and a male-driven business, and so it is nice to have female filmmakers that aren't just actors, that actually are able to have a say in directing and editing. And The Desert, the other movie that I just wrapped on, that was a female DP, and she was amazing. And so it's just nice to see female cameramen. And I did shoot another movie, Mumu and the Three Witches. That was a kids movie, and that was we had a female DP on that as well. So
no desire to actually direct, or was that something you were thinking about?
I would love to direct. Yeah, probably down the road I'd like to start directing a little bit more. I still want to produce. I've directed a little bit of theater, but I haven't directed a movie yet. But that's something I would really love to get into. And
what about I assume that you were part of the casting process as well. In terms, I know you're. It's a stupid question. You must have been, because you're pouring your money in and you're the lead actress and all that. But was that something new to you as well?
The costumes?
Yeah, no, the casting.
Well, with the casting, we did put out breakdowns, and one thing that Jamie and I really looked at it from an actor's perspective is we thought we know exactly what we're looking for in each girl. We wanted some diversity so that we weren't all the same, so that it's relatable to other women all around the world. And so when we put the breakdown out, we kind of knew what we were looking for, and we didn't want to call in too many people to come and audition, because we didn't want to waste anyone's time. We wanted to keep it really efficient. So we did hold some auditions, but most of the people that were cast in the movie were people that we knew and were direct contacts with. Like Jamie had worked with Dominique Swain in a previous movie.
Yeah, she's quite well. I know she's done quite a few.
Yeah, she was in Lolita and Alpha
right,
Dog and Face Off, and then Jessica Morris. She's done a lot as well, and her we knew, or Jamie had worked with her before as well. So. And
what was it like? I mean, I know you've obviously had you've had to do the cast, being part of the casting, as in you're on the receiving end. You're pitching yourself, but what's it like when the boot's on the other foot? So you're part of that process in terms of their pitching to you then effectively. So, in other words, I suppose what I'm trying to get at is normally it's you that's being called to do the casting for a role, isn't it? But you're effectively on the other side now, aren't you? And was that a strange experience? Is that something was it how you'd imagined, I guess?
It is kind of how I imagined, but it is nice doing it from the other side because you get that other perspective. Like you said, like as an actor, you're on one side, and then once you're on the other side, you kind of get an appreciation for casting and being respectful of everyone's time, and also in the casting, we like to give people stuff to work. Like sometimes in auditions, people don't give you a lot to work with. We wanted to give people something to work with. So me and Jamie, actually being the actors, we read with them, and the director. We had a cameraman taping the auditions, and the director was there, but we actually read with the other actors to do a chemistry read already too in the auditions, which was nice.
Because I suppose the danger is you might cast someone, I'm sure this happens, they seem perfect, but then when you go for a read through, there's something not quite clicking with the camera.
Yeah,
I'm sure. You must have come across that, I guess. Everyone seems perfect, but suddenly there's something you're like, oh, this isn't working. Because there has to be some kind of chemistry, doesn't there?
Yeah.
And then what do you do? I suppose they're not right for the role, I guess. I'm not saying it happened in this film, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing, when you're dealing with women, it's kind of, there always is going to be, like Six Friends, there always is going to be some sort of tension. So it was like, if there is a little bit of tension, that's maybe okay.
Right.
Because it's real.
Yeah.
But yet we wanted to be with people that, that would be good to work with and that are able to perform and be in it for the long haul, I guess. Because we did 2 different shoots. We shot in the fall, and then we did another shoot in the spring. And so we needed people that were going to be on board and be able to take that break. Tanya Nolan, plays Sahara,
right,
and she's from New Zealand. And so she ended up booking a TV series in New Zealand after our fall shoot. So we were like, okay, we're going to have to wait because she's going to be gone. We can't shoot the other half of the movie for another 6 months or so.
So you had to wait for her to... That was all part of the planning, I guess. So you knew about that straight away. So what about the shoot? I mean, the locations, how was that? Who was... I guess you were involved in all that as well, finding... And again, this is all new in terms of what you've done before, and how interesting was that? I mean, that must have been great fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
I mean, you literally out in your Jeep saying, no, this doesn't... I mean, I don't know.
Well, we went online a lot, so we did a lot of online research, and we kind of broke the script down and thought, okay, we need a cabin, number one. And we thought logistically, what are we, so again, it's like dealing with all the logistics of housing people and where we're going to shoot. And we did shoot outside of LA. The cabin was shot up in Pine Mountain,
right,
which is like 70 miles north of LA, I think. And then part of the other stuff we shot in LA, and we shot some scenes in Long Beach. But what we dealt with first was just the cabin scene. So it's like we want to get the cabin done, and then we're going to be on this break anyway because our actress has to be out of the country for her series, and then we'll come back and do it. So it did help to kind of compartmentalize it and break it down a little bit as far as the locations go. So we did have a locations manager, Travis Eli was his name, and he went online and found us this wonderful cabin that we actually found 2 cabins, a shooting cabin and then one to house the crew in. And it was this huge cabin, like a 20-room cabin.
Brilliant.
To house everyone. So, and it just happened to work out. So.
Is it fun in the round? I mean, looking back on the whole experience, can you give us a flavour of what your expectations were and the reality of actually less to do with the acting and more to do with the whole production as an ensemble, really? So is it possible you can explain that? Because you're going in and you're in at the deep end. You have all these expectations, or not expectations. Have all these. You imagine lots of things. Was it pretty much how you imagined it, or was it completely different?
Oh man, I think there were so many surprises thrown our way. Like for instance, we were trying to do our night shoots at the cabin, and one of the neighbors had their dogs barking, and we're like, oh no, we're gonna have to take that out in post. And So yeah, stuff comes up all the time. We ended up having to add on another shoot day in the cabin to get our days in, and so then it's like, okay, is our crew available for another day of working? Are the actors available? So stuff always comes up, and it's just something that you learn for next time.
And was it fun? I mean, overall, was it fun?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So if I came to you exactly and said, I want you to remake this film exactly as you made it, or not exactly as you made it, but remake it, would you do anything differently?
Yes.
Go on. Well.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you What would you change?
We probably would add on more time in the beginning, I guess, because we had to add on that extra day anyway, and it might have been a little easier if we would have added on even another day, because the film, it turned out beautiful and it turned out really wonderful, but we really hustled, and our crew hustled with it. So I'm trying to think of like all the other things we would change. There are quite a few things that were a learning experience.
This film, I think it does have a twist ending, doesn't it?
It does have a twist ending.
I'm not obviously not asking you to tell me all this, but how was that? Because I'm always intrigued at how a twist is actually arrived at. Does someone think of the writer think of it first, then work backwards?
I think actually Leisha, our director, came up with the twist for it.
Right, so it wasn't part of the original, right? Oh, yeah, okay.
It changed quite a bit. Jamie and Leisha bounced the script back and forth 9 times before we came to the final product.
Right.
And we cut characters, added characters. It was like, we're gonna have this, maybe not that. So it definitely evolved and changed and morphed. And then finally at the end of the day, we were like, okay, that's it. That's the script. We're stopping. This is it. And we're gonna shoot now, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it, so it's a brilliantly made film.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it's really good. It's a really good film. And I suppose this is now changing you in terms of it seems to me clearly you want to get more into the production side of it.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got the producing bug now, if you will. I really enjoy it. I enjoy learning about cameras, and I enjoy learning about creating the film, whereas before I was more of an actor, and I felt like I didn't have that knowledge of filmmaking and actually being a creative artist and having a creative say. I just learned it by doing it, working with people that know what they were doing, because obviously our director and our DP, they've got their masters in cinematography and directing, so they knew what they were doing. And then Jamie and we were just actors, and we kind of fell in line and let them lead the way, but we learned along the way too and made lots of decisions, and we're definitely both down to do it again. So. And
who inspires you? Do you have someone that you've not necessarily looked up to on the way, but if you could choose someone that you think has made a difference to you, is there someone that has done that in your life in terms of what you do as a career now?
Oh, well, my family, like my family as a whole, it's inspired me. They've always been so supportive. I'm really, really lucky to have the mom and dad and the relatives that I have. My aunts are so supportive of me as well. They were even partial investors in the movie.
That's
so
amazing,
and so was my dad. So my dad's a fundraiser for film as well. So
because I imagine, I always have this thought that when a child or a youngster says to their parents, "Mum, I want to be an actor," the first thing that goes, "What?"
Oh, that was their reaction.
Oh, right,
yeah,
but then it's like, okay, it's fine. And then
because I remember I was a little kid and I would look in the newspaper and I was like, "Mom, I want to go to this audition," and she's like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to drive you to the audition, and then if you get it, we're gonna have to be driving to rehearsals all the time." And I just wouldn't let it go. And finally, they were like, "Okay, you can go do some theater," and then I just kept doing theater, and then I went to school for it. And then by the time I got my degree in acting, they were like, "Okay, we're gonna do this," and they're my biggest support. My family is definitely. They support me 110%, and they keep me going because it is a tough industry.
It is.
And they're always the ones that are like, "You can't give up, you can't stop, you've got to keep going." So.
And we delved into this other day, and it'd be interesting to hear you, or your thoughts about. I mean, I feel I wouldn't necessarily be involved in films. I just think it's a real tough thing.
Yeah.
You have a tough skin, and perhaps you could try and explain just how tough you've got to be.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of no's, isn't it? And how can you explain how you keep that drive going? Because, God, I don't know these days you wake up and thinking,
Yeah.
I need to keep going. But what drives you?
I guess the fact that I have no backup plan. I don't know what else I would do.
So that is a drive, yeah.
Yeah,
because you can't,
yeah. There's no backup plan. I don't want one. I don't care for one. I can't do anything else. So acting is it. Acting and producing, and I would love to get into directing as well, like you said.
Yeah.
I've directed some plays, but I would love to direct a movie.
Because the two are, I know they're both acting, but they are radically different, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to hear actors and actresses say what they love about both different mediums.
Yeah, film is just so technical. To be a director in film, you really need to know the angles and the cameras and how to break down a script. Whereas in theater, I feel like it's maybe more performance-driven, more acting-driven, blocking-driven. And you still need to be, technically savvy as well in theater. But it's sort of like you can put it up to your lighting designer in theater and say, yeah, I like that, or can we up this light or up that light? But then in film, it's like you've got to sit down and break down the camera angles and get your shooting schedule together. And so I feel like being a director in film is more technical. And in theater, it can be more emotional, I guess, or more performance driven.
And of course, it's a one shot in theatre as well, isn't it?
One shot, but you do get all that rehearsal too. So it's nice because you get 6 weeks of working with or sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes less, depending on what the schedule is. But you get like 6 weeks to get together with your cast and your crew, and you rehearse it. You develop this sort of energy, this what I want to call it, the chemistry, sort of from rehearsing. And then by the time the curtain goes up, you're ready to go. But then in film, it's like, oh, I met you yesterday. Okay, let's go. It's really, really fast paced. So.
Okay, and just finally, can you tell us one thing about you that's nothing to do with film, that's a fun fact?
I love to go horseback riding.
Oh, right,
yeah.
okay.
I grew up on a farm, and so I've been horseback riding since I was a kid, and it's just something that I've always loved to do. My dad bought me a pony when I was little.
Right.
Most people can't say that, but we grew up on a farm.
No,
so.
you'd love my partner. She's like an expert. She's like a professional rider, so I know it's not my bag, not there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
They just look dangerous. I've had to go once and it wasn't for me, but I can understand the buzz from it,
Yeah.
But yeah, she's really, or was really into it until children came and, all this stuff. But yeah, I can totally understand why, I really can.
Yeah.
And she's always been into that since must have been about 13 or 14, I guess, maybe even younger than that, actually.
There's something really beautiful about horses.
Oh, they are. They're magnificent.
They're very intuitive, definitely.
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
they're wondrous. They are wondrous. They are wondrous beasts, and as I say, the only reason it's just not my bag, but I totally get the gig, and I can see why people are, drawn to it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I was just talking about me now, shouldn't we? But down at the farm where she had all the stables, I noticed there was a lot more women into it than there were some men, but obviously it's a lot more women are drawn to it. But I can see the buzz.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want all the aggravation of it though as well, because you've got to do all the mucking it and all the other stuff that comes with it.
Yeah.
But having said that, watching people ride, it's an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, I would love to do a Western.
You'd be an expert, you see. You've got the horseback skills, haven't you?
I think that would be a lot of fun, to do a Western and like those beautiful shots where it's like like in Dances with Wolves when they've got those gorgeous shots of the horseback and
Dakota, I guess. Well, you're from Dakota, aren't you?
Yeah, North Dakota.
That's right, okay.
That's where I'm from. Yeah, they shot that in South Dakota, I think.
Did they?
Yeah. So. Yeah.
I suppose the problem is there aren't actually that many Westerns, are there, really, anymore?
There aren't as many. No. I think we should bring it back.
There you go. your next film.
Yeah.
That's it. Chantal, thank you very much. Was that okay?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.